everyone, it's Rebecca and Jared here. We are so excited to be with you for another reaction video. Today's video is about 2 signs that you are purifying your mind, making rapid progress, and getting closer to Krishna.
Sounds like a juicy one.
Very.
We want to make a special expression of gratitude to all of you who have been watching. It's a new channel, but it's growing, and it's because of your support and you watching and commenting. Can't tell you how much the comments mean to us. I think you know we read every single one. We respond to every single one. And thank you, because I know that helps grow the channel. Keep doing so. Subscribe if you haven't. That also helps grow the channel. And we're just super grateful for your support, your engagement, and supporting us in our spiritual journey and educating us. So many of you gave us such great information, and we learned through your comments last time on so many things that we knew nothing about. So thank you for your education and wisdom as well.
Thank you, everyone. Should we get started?
Let's do it.
Without the performance of austerities, nothing worthwhile in this world can ever be accomplished. In the Vedic heritage, austerities are called tapasya, and Bharatvarsh is referred to as Tapobhumi, the land where austerity has always been cherished and revered. In the Mahabharata is the story of Yudhishthir Maharaj when he performed the Rajasuya Yajna in Indraprastha. It is said the Yajna was so lavish that every day he would feed 10,000 Brahmins on golden plates and let them take away the plates after the meal. However, after a few days of the Yajna, the Pandavas were sitting around Lord Krishna and they saw a squirrel enter the Yajna Mandap. One side of the squirrel was golden. It began jumping on the other side. After 5-6 vain attempts, the squirrel exclaimed, "Dik Yajnam, fie upon this Yajna," and began walking away. Bhimsen was so annoyed he lifted up his mace to smash the squirrel. Lord Krishna said, "Bhim, first find out why did the squirrel say that?" The squirrel began sharing its story. It related that a few years ago, it used to reside on a tree in a village close to Indraprastha. And there, under the tree was the hut of a poor Brahmin family. That family was so poor that when grain was harvested in the fields, the few grains that remained on the ground after the harvest, they would search for those and some subsist off them. However, once for a few years, there was famine in the land, and for many days this family was famished. The father one day managed to get rations from somewhere, and a meal was cooked for the father, mother, son, and daughter-in-law. When they were about to partake of it, a guest arrived. He said, "Sirs, I am so hungry. Can you please give me something to eat?" The Brahmin told his wife, "Give my portion to him. I will fast today." That visitor was satiated and he departed. Now the mother and the 2 son and daughter-in-law sat to eat. In the meantime, a second traveler arrived. The mother said, "Never mind, I will take inspiration from my husband." And she fed her portion to that traveler, who left satisfied. Before the son and his wife could take their share, a third traveler arrived. and the son offered his portion to that guest. Finally, there was only enough for the young daughter-in-law. When a fourth guest reached, she said, "I should take inspiration from my elders. I have decided I will fast today in favor of feeding our honored guest." The squirrel said, when that Bahu, daughter-in-law, made the sacrifice, although she was so hungry, the celestial gods rejoiced and showered flower petals from the heavens. The squirrel said, "I was present on the scene, and I was so delighted that I jumped in ecstasy, and the side of my back on which I fell turned into gold by the power of that family's austerity, tapasya, tyag, sacrifice, yajna." So the squirrel said, "Only one side of my back was gold. I was looking how to make the other side gold as well. And that was when I came to know that Yudhishthir Maharaj is performing the Rajasuya Yajna. I decided on this fire sacrifice, I will be able to transform my other backside as well. But I attempted again and again. It was futile. That is why I said, Dhik Yajnam. This sacrifice cannot compare with the sacrifice performed by the poor family residing outside of Indraprastha." Having said that, the squirrel walked away. The Pandavas were silenced. Yudhishthir asked Shri Krishna, "Maharaj, where did we fall short in the performance of this sacrifice?" Lord Krishna said, "Yudhishthir, you did this sacrifice with money that you collected from others, with what you gathered from other kings as well. The poor family sacrificed the food needed to satiate their hunger. There is no comparison." This story is there in the Mahabharata to inspire us to look on sacrifice as something glorious and to be cherished. People often ask the question,
Wow, what a powerful story to start out. Any thoughts and feelings, reactions, my beloved?
I'm falling so short. One of the things Swamiji has said in other spaces is to reflect on where you are and where you'd like to be, and then inspire yourself to view that gap as intolerable so that you can derive inspiration and enthusiasm for moving ahead on the path. Throughout my life, I've been kind of complacent in that gap and telling myself, you're doing enough and it's going well. And, but when I hear a story of this caliber and dimension, and I can feel that gap more potently and powerfully from the words of Swamiji and through the ancient truths of the Mahabharata. And I thank you for the exposure of that, but it hurts to see how far I still need to go.
Well, I'll also remind you that Swamiji, one of the last times we were in his presence together, specifically said to you that you're doing very well and to not be so hard on yourself.
Thank you for that reminder.
So Swamiji is also an infinitely compassionate being who just understands that his devotees, they were all just down at the lotus feet, just little, not even close to a speck of dust. But he was giving you support and love to let you know that you're doing well and to keep on the right track and not be so hard on yourself. So I'll also note that. And that on Sunday, we have decided before we even watch this video that we're taking on a 2-week austerity practice. It's not that long. Some people do it many lifetimes. But for us, it's a big deal. 2 weeks of pure sattvic food with no spices, salts, or peppers, or anything tasty in any way. Starting this Sunday.
Now that you've declared it, we can't go back.
I've said it on YouTube, so it's real. And it must occur. So that is our miniature austerity. And we'll see if in those 2 weeks, we face, obviously there's not going to be like major spiritual transformation in 2 weeks, but I bet a bunch of that ego and the yearnings and the hankerings are going to start popping up and be very visible.
We'll keep you posted.
We'll let you know how it goes.
People often ask the question, Swamiji, how do we know how far we have progressed in our spiritual journey? When somebody travels, there are milestones that enable us to know how much distance has been covered. What are the milestones in our spiritual progress? Well, progress doesn't necessarily get measured by an improvement in our external circumstances. The sign of progress is that even though circumstances may be negative, we are able to remain positive. So what is progress? When there is a reason to become angry, but you are still calm. When there is a reason to be envious, but you are free from it. When there is cause for pride to arise, yet you remain humble. Where there is a reason for attachment, and yet you are detached. That indicates our spiritual power is increasing, and these are the symptoms of it. To remain positive even in the midst of negativity. There's an apocryphal story related about Jagadguru Shankaracharya. A scholar of Kashi came to him and said, Jagadguruji, please make me your disciple.
I love it because it's telling us that although this world we live in and the relationships and the various, attachments we have, that it's all Maya. And he's saying that as we progress spiritually, our relationship to those things change. So if we're still as angry and we're doing all the meditation and doing all the puja and doing all the kirtan, but we still have the same anger or the same jealousy or the same fear and reaction to triggers, then it's a sign that we're actually not necessarily growing spiritually. So I love this notion that although there is Maya and all these material annulments, what is the word that he's been using?
Oh, yes.
That these material experiences,
allurements,
and that they are there and they don't define us. They're not what truly matter. Yet they're a beautiful barometer. Our relationship to them and how we respond to them is a beautiful barometer and litmus test of our spiritual advancement. And I love that because sometimes, folks out there and some spiritual people will say, oh, it's all Maya. It doesn't really matter. This doesn't matter. My relationship to this person doesn't matter. How good I am at my job doesn't matter. It's all Maya. All I care about is my meditation and my spirituality. And there's a sense of truth to that. But I also love that Swamiji teaches us that obviously what truly matters is our spiritual sadhana and our connection to God and Guru. That's really all that matters. But how that manifests in progress, actually that shows up and is visible. The signals, the signs of it is in our relationship to the Maya. So I like that a lot.
Jay Ma, that was wonderful. I concur. 100%.
Concur.
It was wonderful.
Shankaracharya looked at him. Being a powerful saint, he could see his mind. And he said, but you are not eligible. You are not qualified. The scholar said, I am not qualified. Engage in Shastrarth, scriptural debate with me, and you will get to know my competence. Shankaracharya said, I will engage in Shastrarth with that person who knows the meaning of Shastra. The scholar said, what? I don't know the meaning of Shastra. Shankaracharya said, if you did, it would have made you humble. Vidya dadati vinayam. And you are saying with pride, engage in Shastrarth, you wish to make me your guru and also debate with me. The scholar realized he had a bespoiled antahkaran, an impure heart. And he said, Maharaj, how will I become eligible to be your disciple? Shankaracharya said, go and do Sri Krishna Bhakti. Go to Braj. Do the parikrama of Govardhan every day. Don't look at people. Eat by begging. With every breath, chant the name Radhe Sham, Radhe Sham. And your antahkaran will get purified. The scholar obeyed. He went to Braj Mandal, did the sadhana as he was told, and after a year he was coming back. Shankaracharya saw him from afar and thought, Panditji is returning. Let me see how far his sadhana has progressed. There was a lady sweeping the floor. He called the sweepress and said, look, you see that Pandit coming? Do one thing. When he reaches close, just sweep some dust onto him. She said, he will beat me up. Don't worry, I will reward you for it, a rupee. She said, all right then. She continued speaking. The moment the scholar was close enough, she pushed the dirt onto him. Sorry. That Panditji, he became Aag Babula. His eyes were red with fury. Are you blind? Can you not see? She started laughing. She knew he would become angry. Panditji proceeded to Shankaracharya. Maharaj, as per your instructions, I have done sadhana for 1 year. Shankaracharya said, you are literally eating people alive and you have done sadhana? The heart is still impure. Go and do sadhana again for another year. That scholar obeyed. He returned. He continued with his austerities and his practice. And then at the end of the year, he started returning. Shankaracharya saw him and he called the sweepress and said, Panditji is coming again. This time he has become elevated. Pushing dust onto him will not agitate him. To evoke a response, we will need to do something more severe. Take the broom and hit him with it. The sweepress said, will I get my rupee? You will. All right then. She continued sweeping. When Panditji came close, she lifted a broom and put it on his dress. Panditji again became agitated. However, because he had now elevated himself, he controlled the external outburst of fury. But inside he was growling. And Shankaracharya was a Samartha Sant. He could see the inside. When the Pandit came to him, Maharaj, I have done sadhana again for a year. Shankaracharya said, no, you growl from within. Go and do sadhana yet again. He returned. He tightened his belt. If I make a guru, it will be him and nobody else. So his dedication bore results. After a year, he started coming back again. Shankaracharya saw him from afar and called the Vipress, said, "This time the matter is really serious. This Pandit's heart is clear. Even hitting him with a broom will not evoke any fury. Take your garbage basket and empty it on his head." The Vipress said, "He will kill me. Will I get a reward?" Shankaracharya said, "This time it will be 10 rupees. She said, "All right then, it's worth the effort." As Panditji came close, the Vipress lifted the garbage basket and swaha placed it on his head. However, now Panditji was param shant, completely peaceful. He folded his hands and said, "Ma, you are my Pratham Guru. Oh mother, I had a terrible defect inside me, that of anger. You have been responsible for eradicating it." Look what a difference. As he did sadhana, his perspective towards the world changed. As the saying goes, दृष्टि बदलने से सृष्टि बदलती है. The world is the same for all of us, but by virtue of our sadhana, our vision towards it changes. Now in adversity, he was looking at opportunities for further purification. That was the sign of true progress. Not that there was no negativity around, but despite it, he was able to remain positive. Shankaracharya came running. "Come, my child, you are now eligible. Listen to philosophy from me. So if you wish to know how far you have progressed, remember, despite a reason for pride, when you are free from it, despite a reason for attachment, when you are free from it, that is the sign of real progress. Not that we have run away from the world. Then where is the opportunity to measure our progress?"
Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev. It's too overwhelming. So I have two follow-up thoughts on this
Beautiful.
heart-shaking, incredible gem of wisdom and support for all of us. The one is that it relates so directly. When I was on retreat with Swamiji, he made a joke to the community that was so well received by all of us. He said, "I can see we're all smiling, you're very peaceful, we've done yoga and pranayama, and we've had satsang and sangha and good food, and it's all great, and kirtan. But what will happen when you walk out of the hall and someone pushes you?" And then everyone laughed. And he said, so easily, right, we're doing our things, but then right when we're triggered in a small way, we forget, and then when I marry that wonderful joke that's actually based in reality to this wonderful teaching about how do I measure my progress, that my eruption of anger should just be a benchmark sign for me that I haven't progressed as far as I want. Take it as guidance and reflect on it. Now I have to connect it to this morning for me. Something small happened, but it really helps me see, I'm still have very far to go on my journey. So I take our 2-year-old daughter, well, she's almost 3, 2-year, 10-month-old daughter to preschool every morning. And we live high on a mountain, and I have to go all the way down to the school. And there's only one road. And then to turn left, there's only one lane. So if there's a few cars that won't turn, it's hard to go. So I tend to get a little annoyed in the morning, especially if we're late. Turn. So sometimes I honk the horn, get going and get them. Maybe they're looking at their phone or they're not paying attention. And this morning I was feeling a little tiny amount of stress and we were late to school. And this car in front of me wouldn't turn. There were no cars coming and they wouldn't turn. So I took my horn, beep, beep, and they wouldn't turn. So I beep, beep, and they wouldn't turn. So I took the car and I moved in front, I moved out and I went around the vehicle. But that's a very aggressive thing to do, when you're driving. And I did that and I felt a little bad about it. I mean, just a little, and as I was driving away, I could feel my judgment and frustration toward that person. But then I turned it around toward myself, that I had committed this act. Now, this is a very small matter, and it's kind of not meant to make a mountain out of a molehill, but just to show the sign of my progress. If I had waited patiently, maybe it took 10 minutes for that person. I don't know. It was a few minutes. No, it was 1 or 2 minutes, right? It wasn't a long, but I couldn't bear. I wasn't patient. I was feeling late and pressure, and my aggression, maybe a little bit of anger and judgment, it came out in the form of moving my vehicle around them. And I can see now the invitation to just wait. Maybe they would have taken a minute more. Just wait. It would have been safer on the road, and it would have shown, my internal state. So I take this small matter, connect it to Swamiji's teaching. It's just when we take actions in the world, when things are happening and we commit these little acts or big acts, this is a sign of our progress, and we have to be honest about that.
I love that. And I can relate to all of that, and I can relate to that second stage that the Panditji was at, where he had regulated his ability to not act out, but he was still angry within. Sometimes I act out, but other times I'm able to hold that back, and I'm often under the illusion that, my spiritual sadhana has prevented me from snapping, so I maintain a nice smile. I ask a thoughtful response in a business meeting, even though I'm angry at the person for the outrageous thing they said, and I'm judging them internally, but they wouldn't know it. No one in the room would know it. And it's a beautiful, deep, powerful teaching that, hey, just because the external looks calm and peaceful, like I'm in some sort of Maha Samadhi, yes, the truth is inside I'm in turmoil and aggression. And that's truly what matters. So that's a beautiful teaching for me to receive. Also, how we respond to the successes and glories that you talked about, does it increase our pride? I have to say, guilty as charged. I had a presentation this morning and, got positive feedback at the end. And then I could feel my ego puffing up, like a big chunky balloon. So sometimes when some of you have shared very kind words to us in the comments, it's a practice. Oh, wait, this is Subishwar. Hey, this is all God and Guru. Do not allow this to have, receive the kind words and have gratitude for you kind souls that you exist. But that has nothing to do with us. There's no basis for any sort of pride. This is just God and Guru that, we're trying to get out of the way from, frankly. So Swamiji, I think, is, for me, the single person I've ever met on the planet who not only is the single most talented human being, the most ascended human being, the most loving and patient human being, the most powerful and vibrant and dynamic human being, the most scholarly human being, the wisest human being. He's the most humble human being I've ever met. So he lives the principles that the Vedas teach. That true spiritual ascension leads to humbleness. Vrindavan Bihari Lala Ki Jai!
We'll see you next time. Thank you for being with us. We honor you all and we appreciate you.